Okay, now back to the studio. We're reviewing the newspaper this morning, and on the front pages, we'll be looking at the stories. Joining us to analyze them is the head strategy and public affairs for Nairametrics, Uhadé Ahimie. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Ali.
Morning, Uhadé.
Good morning. I don't want to.
Oh, you haven't said it.
He's a new daddy.
He became a tear rubber daddy.
He's a tear rubber.
Yeah.
Not terrible.
He's not tear rubber.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Okay, daddy again. More like,
Yes,
yeah.
so he's not tear rubber.
So in my head, sorry, what I was trying to say was like a brand new daddy, like new again.
Yes.
The English is not English.
Let's focus on the papers.
Daily Trust. Soldiers, bandits in bloody clash in Niger. Many feared dead. That's a really sad story.
And I mean, kudos to Daily Trust for putting it on their front page. It's a national day of sorrow, and I mean, you can't lose 17 of your soldiers in one day and just move on with life like nothing happened. There were a number of bandits and terrorists that were also neutralized in this clash. They invaded a forward operational base, and there were exchange of gunfire that went on for hours yesterday, and it's so sad that we've lost soldiers to this. And I wonder why we're seeing a resurgence in this bandit attacks. I mean, it's the nomenclature, they're terrorists as far as I'm concerned. Bandits is making light of the situation.
I mean, that's why they said you should rename them. Anyway, but still looking at the front page, PDP 11 NWC members disown Damagum, reject Anyanwu's reinstatement. 5 arrests over death of 2 Kano youths. Landmine explosion kills 4, injures 10 in Borno. PDP chieftain, son shot dead in Kwara. Wow. Tinubu to sign tax reform bills today. Party registration, ADA obedience among 110 applicants, says INEC. Running mate, I will do whatever Tinubu wants in 2027. Barao, please, what's the meaning of this?
Is pledging allegiance to him in totality. Yep. Just the way the current governor, Usman Ododo of Kogi State, pledged total alliance to the White Lion in totality. He said, look, if I give you an instruction as the governor, and the White Lion, that's Yaya Bello, for those who don't know, is alias. And Yaya Bello gives you an instruction, you should listen to him rather than me as city
I remember.
governor. So that's a level of loving we've seen in Nigerian politics. Bromance. I would do whatever. So I imagine you are.
I'm going to.
You are Mr. Kashim Shettima.
Analysis of my.
Imagine you're the current vice president, and you hear this Mr. Barao saying, "Don't worry, maybe him is not doing everything."
I think one thing is this news has been going around for.
And is it certain that he will change vice president?
Well, Tinubu has said that he will announce his running mate soon. Whether he's going to retain the current vice president is a question that he would have to answer. But everybody seems to believe that there's a vacancy in the office of the vice president for 2027 election. That's the belief until the president himself comes out and tells you.
What's your own belief? Looking at the antecedents of Mr. President, as governor of Lagos State, he worked with 3 deputy governors.
Well, if he believes, what's my own view? My own view is that until the president...
Your analysis?
My analysis is that until the president tells us this is who his running mate will be in 2027.
Will he do it or will he not?
I can't say.
As part of your analysis, there's also prophesying.
I'm not a prophet, please, Benga. I'm not going to prophesy into
Olive, can you explain that look on your face? To our viewers.
The explanation of that look is, if you ask me, now who I
go ask. Exactly. The only person we can ask is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
But that's not usually the norm, where we see that after the first administration, they changed vice presidents, vice presidential candidates. It's not the norm. It's why it's a bit surprising to people that if he's saying unequivocally, I mean, he's been saying that he's running for 2027. As an incumbent,
yeah.
You know, as an incumbent, it's just almost a given that you would expect that the vice president automatically
there is
attached to him.
Like they say, there's no fire without smoke. And sometimes some of these rumors come out because people maybe have seen some body language that says that. So really, until the president says this is my running mate. And I don't think the president is going to make any statements about that till when INEC flags off the 2027 election calendar, which will be maybe towards the end of next year. So, but yeah, with his antecedent in Lagos, where he worked with 3 deputy governors in 8 years, it's not impossible for him to say, okay, I want someone else to work with me from 2027 to 2031, if he does get re-elected.
And you have someone here, Mr. Barrow, saying, I will do whatever Tinubu wants in 2027.
What kind of level of public desperation is that?
But I mean, in fairness to him, he said in 2027. So maybe that calendar year he will do everything. In 2028, he might not do one or two.
And then the other, for me, I think the other reason why a lot of people are, or a lot of the politicians are peddling this is everybody wants to start to, especially from the north, where it's to believe that the presidency has to go back up.
Yes.
So you have to start to push your buttons towards being the vice presidential candidate in line for who is going to run in 2031. And that's for me is the strategy everybody is going to be looking at.
Absolutely. Let's take this one quickly before we go for a commercial break. There's been complaints about, Nigeria becoming a one-party state, and now INEC has come out to say that there were 110 applicants. Olive, how do we go from 110, from a one-party state to a 110-party state in a number of days? Do we have a political party problem? And why are there so many of them fighting for applications?
That's the standard. Every political, every time you are getting towards elections. Last year, I think there were 96 parties.
Wow.
So, last elections, I think there were about 96 parties. So, that's why that INEC list is so long.
Yes.
So my question is, every association wants to be a political party. And I think one of the reasons for that is because they get money as political parties from the government. Maybe when you stop that, then people will stop advocating.
The incentives.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if there are really no incentives of you becoming a political party and getting free money in my
Some of them are even out of acronyms. Acronym is clashing. Like ADA, they are like on 5.
It makes no difference about the acronym. The most important part
INEC won't register them if there's a clash.
That's the INEC rules. But my own point is simple. Maybe when we stop these freebies that goes to political parties every time an election cycle comes in. But of course,
it's almost like
it could be a way of saying, okay, go form your party, let's give you your own part of the national cake. That's me just speculating.
Okay. We'll go on a quick break, and when we come back, we still have Uhadé Ahimie here, and we're analysing the front pages of the newspapers. Just stay with us. We'll be right back after this break.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. We're still joined by Uhadé Ahimie, who's the head Strategy and Public Affairs of Nairametrics, and he's analyzing the papers with us this morning. Let's go to the New Telegraph newspaper. On the front page of the New Telegraph, the National Secretary, PDP crisis deepens as NWC counters the Magom governors, reinstates Anyanwu, shelves neck for expanded caucus, Akpabio Wike mock party over scribes resumption. $300 helicopter levy, Neymar to shut down defaulters, facilities, and others. Defense headquarters to deploy 800 special forces to combat insecurity. We're processing requests for parties registration, INEC says. Senate declares Yelwata Mangu massacre acts of terrorism. Nightmares triple risk for premature death. So if you have bad dream, is a risk for premature death. Le baton.
You take that dream seriously.
Wow, mental health. See it now, it says study shows that nightmares triple risk for premature death. We'll come back.
I'll have to go and read that.
Honestly,
you also need to watch the kind of movies you watch before you go to bed.
Like I Am Matanga.
That can trigger nightmare. And it's not I Am Matanga, it's I Am at Anger.
Who are you who is saying I am at anger?
I'm lost completely.
Oh, it's true. You're not in our generation. When we're growing up, you've not watched all those things. Now you're busy hustling for money when we're watching Ayamatanga.
Nigerian horror film.
This is Nigerian
Mount
horror.
Zion.
Anyway, can we come back to this?
Okay, this morning, still upper and red chamber of appointment of non-indigenous RCEC chair. And this was something that we were kicking against in Rivers.
It's not just the non-indigene, he's from the village of the sole administrator.
So I want you to react to that story, Mr. Ahimie. I also want you to speak about the PDP crisis. But let's start with the appointment of a non-Rivers indigene.
Well, so let me put it this way. I do think for the basis of better understanding of how you run an election in Rivers State, it would probably be better because there are so many qualified people from Rivers State,
of course,
who can be the resident electoral commissioner for the state electoral commission. So it beats me where the sole administrator decides that the person has to come from somewhere else, and then the National Assembly will ratify it. Because if there was a governor, there's no way the state assembly will probably, even if it picks someone else from outside, the state assembly would probably reject it because there could be better qualified people from within the state. So, which for me calls to question what the intentions are, in my own opinion. Why? Because what exactly are you looking out for, or are you trying to do? Are you trying to determine already how the elections must go and how it would go? And is it that the piper picks or the master picks the piper, and then the infants dance away and just follow the master? Well, maybe that's what's happening. So it could be
yeah, but there's a reason why the National Assembly has oversight functions over the.
And yeah, that's my point. So why will the National Assembly, are you with me?
Yes.
Approve that? Why won't they ask, are there no qualified people in Rivers State? I can understand the national elections whereby you say you don't want indigenes being electoral commissioners for national elections, but not the state elections. It's a state affair. So you have to, in my own opinion, you have to get someone from within the state who is qualified enough, and they are qualified people, I believe, in Rivers State. And on the National Working Committee of the PDP and the crisis of whether they have a meeting on Monday or not, the PDP has been in crisis since they lost the elections in 2015, and it's unfortunate. Why? Because it seems to me that there's no more loyalty in terms, well, there's never really been loyalty, but even those within the party now, are you with me? Everybody seems to be scheming for their own personal
unity.
Yeah. And so there's no unity amongst, what's it called? So really, it's like when a group of strange bedfellows come together to form an organization, and that's what you have. So the chairman and the governors are saying one thing, the other members of the party are saying, no, we don't want that national secretary, and we'll go ahead and have a meeting.
All right. Okay.
Another headline here that, because we've been trying different methods to deal with insecurity, and it doesn't seem to work. There's always one news here or there, pockets of resistance here or there. But the Defense Headquarters has decided to deploy 800 special forces to combat insecurity. Are you confident, or do you have confidence in this to at least do something or destroy this insurgents' capabilities? They're special forces. They're not just ordinary soldiers. They're highly trained.
Every soldier is highly trained.
Yeah, but it's like the Navy SEALs. There's a level
take the extra of training them. But first, let me first and foremost commend the Nigerian military for the fighting in Niger State. Our gallant officers and men and officers of the military forces. My condolences go to the family of those who lost loved ones. But the fact that, for me, the inability to grow our military during war times in Nigeria just beats me. One thing I've seen, and it's not across the world, is where countries allow people or their citizens to join the military without conscription. But it's so difficult to join the military in Nigeria, and it just beats me. And then we've been at war.
you think it's difficult?
We've been at war since Boko Haram in 2010. That's 15 years.
No, every year they recruit members into the army,
but the
Navy,
number
Air Force.
of recruitments, there's so many idle young men and women in Nigeria who want to join the military. But this idea of you need to get an ex-military person to sign off and all, these are war times. The only other thing you need to do now is just conscript the people. The military, for me, the military is a space where you can develop a lot of Nigerians.
But you also need training and
Yeah.
qualified Nigerians to join the military, not just...
What qualifies you to join the military anywhere? You turn 18, you're willing to join the military, and then
You're physically fit.
Exactly. That's why you say that 70% of 200 million, 140 million young Nigerians are not physically fit, and you cannot get people joining the military, whether it's 1,000, 2,000 every day, without going through the strain of having to look for who is going to say, oh, you're fit enough to go to the military. The fitness for you to be in the military is when you go there, they do an assessment, a physical view assessment, and say, okay, come in and do the medicals and do your trials. And then you go to the training. And if you are successful at the training, then you become a member.
You also need a certain level of education to be able to
secondary school education,
take instructions and interpret,
high
and
school,
also operate some complex
anywhere in the
machineries.
world. High school education is what you require to join the military. And many people who have joined the military have gone on to get higher education because the training requires that, the skills, the knowledge, the technical ability. So what are we doing in Nigeria? And we say the military is stretched. We've been at war for the last 15 years. Are you with me? And we're not recruiting enough people into the military. This president said that was going to be a focus in his manifesto. But we haven't seen that. And we are stretching 800, you're talking 800 special forces.
But you know, there are budgetary considerations too. You have to put them on a pension, salaries, welfare, and all of that. They're a strain on the nation's budget. If you look at our defense budget, is already quite high.
If your country has been at war, are you with me? And you need to be sure that you can fight that war. Because let me tell you, the military is fighting different battles all across Nigeria. And they are strained. So are you telling me that we can't move our military forces, I don't know what it is now, maybe about 1 million, all in all, to protect 200 million Nigerians? It's ludicrous in my opinion. Really. So we need to do that and focus on that and get people. I remember a long time ago, one of my uncles, two of my uncles, who one died, one got shot during the civil. They just went to the what's it called, and they joined the military. People were just walking into the military offices and they signed to become what's it called, and then you give them quick training and then they go to war. But now, with all the things that have happened in the last 15 years, since Boko Haram in 2009, 2010, we have just not increased our military forces, and they are now fighting more battles. They are fighting in the east, in the west, in the north, in the south. So how do we expect to combat terrorism?
Okay, I think a final story I want us to talk about, still, since we're talking about combating terrorism, let's look at the Daily Times. Uhadé is the governors will hold you culpable if Fulani militias strike southeast.
That's for me, when Uhadé says to governors, that's a difficult thing for governors. The governors don't control the security architecture of Nigeria. So you hold them responsible. Yes, that's fine.
In their domain.
Yeah, but that's fine. But they would also have to work with the federal government to ensure that this security is provided. We're talking now 800 special forces. We're talking about a battle that happened for over 3 hours in Niger State. We're talking about IEDs going off in was it Borno State? Yes. Exactly. So who are the people dealing with all this? Is the security apparatus. And if the security apparatus, whether it's police, the military, the DSS, you just whatever you call it, if you are not getting more people, how do you gather intelligence?
So you think we have a numbers and strength problem?
Oh, yes, we do.
Not equipment, not personnel.
Oh, no, that's a different thing entirely. But let's remember that even when you buy all these equipment, how many people do you have that are going to use them? How do you combat terror? So let me even ask, if you say, okay, you want to buy 3 million guns today to put into the military, are they just going to sit in the arsenal when you don't have 2 million people in your force and you are fighting a war, or you've been fighting a war for the last 15 years? It's a huge challenge. And like I hear you, yeah, the budget constraints and all, like I continue to say, Nigeria's budget has remained technically the same when it comes to dollar terms in the last 20 years. It's in the last 10, 15 years, about $30 billion. And that's what we have budgeted, whether I call it 100 trillion because of exchange rate. That's what we budgeted. And every time there are provisions every year to buy equipment. I know that the former administration, the airplanes they bought and paid, they paid for them. Some of them haven't come. They paid directly for different things. The money is gone, but we haven't seen those equipment. But even when those equipments come, they just lie fallow. It's not about paying for equipment. Where's the manpower that is going to use the equipment? And that's really what it is. And military training really is not just about war. Technically, the military training equips you to be able to live difficult times and also support a system within the country. So you have military engineers, you have military doctors, you have military chefs,
accountants.
You just name it. So why are we not doing so much more in that space?
Why do you think we have personal
I explained to you where, for me, I wake up in the morning and I want to join the Navy or the Army or the Air Force as a recruit. I will need to go and look for Olive, who was an ex-military, whether it's general
this has been the norm for a number of years.
But that is wrong. You
need some level of screening. So if you have a rogue personnel, they know somebody.
Let's not go there now.
They can hold you responsible.
When you came to run an interview to join News Central, did they not screen you?
Yes, and that's my recommendation for my past employers.
They will ask you for
past employers.
It's not a recommendation. They're asking you, your past employers, to confirm a number of things. Your past employers are not recommending you.
Yeah, at least they
exactly. It's like when you're opening a current account and then they tell you that somebody who has a current account needs to sort of...
Do they stop opening that current account?
If you don't bring it, yes.
They will put it on hold until you bring someone who knows you and what's it called. But not for me to open the current account. To join the military, there are different ways.
And it's very sensitive. You're giving people guns. It's national security. You want to know the sort of people
there are rules
that you are
recruiting
into your army.
But you know that there are rules and regulations of how the military actually conduct themselves in public space.
Okay.
And those, just a second, those rules and regulations are very clear. The military force all over the world is probably one of the most disciplined, career path you can go into. So even when you get to security points and all, you must be that's the last resort.
All right, we have to go now. Thank you so much, Uhadé, for joining us. Thank you to our audience, our guests, our viewers. On behalf of our editor, Afolabi, we want to give a birthday shout out to Adebimpe Yusuf, We wish you many years from all of us here at Breakfast Central and from Afolabi. Happy birthday.
And just one last thing, please. Happy birthday to your MD,
oh, yes,
who turned 60 today.
Yes.
Happy birthday, Egbon. God bless you always.
God bless
Happy
you.
Happy birthday,
MD.
Mr. K. See you soon.
All right, we'll see you all again tomorrow. It's time to go and hound HR for party rice from our MD. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a great day. Bye-bye.